This is the world's best regional business class seats out there today from Singapore Airline. Most airlines don't even offer lie-flat seats on regional routes, let alone nice ones like this one here from SQ, short for Singapore Airline, which has two types of aircraft that offer the regional business class seats, the 787-10 and the Airbus A350-900 with the medium haul configuration. The seats are identical, but there are some subtle differences, especially with their cabins. So today, we're first gonna look at their 787-10. Today's journey starts from Bali to Singapore and almost to Manila. The two flights are part of the same ticket, which I spent only $20 on. If you stay to the end of this video, I'll share with you how I did just that. Bali's Denpasar airport is the second busiest one in the country. Given the popularity and the sheer volume of tourists, I would be surprised if it's not ranked among the top spots. The airport can also accommodate even the A380, which only around 140 or so airports in the world are certified to do so. Shortly after checking in, I slowly made my way to our lounge, which most business or first class passengers from any airlines would have access to. Because there are only a couple of lounges in this terminal, airlines have no other option, so it's gonna be really packed during certain hours of the day. Priority pass holders used to get access here, but it has been inconsistent with their entry policy. You may want to give it a try anyway, but don't hold your breath. The lounge isn't all that crazy impressive, cool if you drop by for some food, but you're not missing out much if you don't. Let's do a quick run and show you what kind of food they offer here. It's about time to board. Let's make our way to the cabin. It is a full flight today, which is expected, given the pent-up demand for traveling these days. The cabin looks really easy on the eye, and if these seats look familiar to you, that's because Turkish Airline also uses these same seats in their latest aircraft like the 787s and the A350s, but they use those aircraft mostly in long haul though, so we're intrigued today for this 2.5 hours flight. Let's take a look at the seat map. There are 9 rows of 4s in this 787-10 business class cabin in a staggered 1-to-1 layout. Bulkhead seats such as 11A and 11K do come with some extra legroom and storage space, but not those in the middle seats. If you're traveling alone, window seats are the best, even though most people would prefer the slightly more private window seats than those closer to the aisle. But if you take a closer look, the gap is quite narrow for some to squeeze through, especially those with walking difficulties. So depending on your preference, the aisle seats are not too bad at all. In fact, that's exactly what I did. I picked the bulkhead seats 11K, which is also closer to the aisle for convenience. These business class seats were introduced into the airlines in 2018, replacing those old regional business class seats which nobody wants to talk about it anymore. If you fly with a wide-body business class product from Singapore Airline, then rest assured that this is the least you will get, which is a really great product. In Singapore Airline, these seats are only offered in the 787-10s and the A350s. There are some subtle differences between the cabins from these two aircraft, which I will mention in the next video when flying in the A350s, so stay tuned for that. Let's do a seat tour before we take off. Right below the 18-inch IFE screen is the tray table. You can use it for some snacks and a drink, but for a proper meal, it's best to flip it open like that and pulling it closer to you. Close to my seat is the armrest, which you can raise or lower. Immediately above it is the IFE remote control that looks like a PSP. Give a thumbs up to this video if you actually know what that is. Above the remote control is a panel of various switches, like seating positions and lighting adjustment. Moving on to the compartment beside the seat, here's your hook to hang your headphone, or whatever you want to hang really. Here you will find a water bottle, headphone, and a menu. Also the power outlet and charging ports. You can also close off this entire compartment by the way with this little door on the left side. There's also a mirror that can be pulled out. How thoughtful was that? Let's get to the seat now. Like many new business class seats nowadays, it has a 3-point seatbelt system. What it really means is the addition of the shoulder strap, just a fancier name I suppose. The part that surrounds the seat has this really soft texture and this diamond-like stitching, or rhombus if you will. At the upper corner is this small panel with 3 lights for different lighting directions and level of luminosity. What a word! And finally, the world's narrowest armrest. Well, actually, I can't confirm whether that's true or not, but it sure does look pretty narrow. Haven't seen that before. And with that, it's time for takeoff. Sadly, there's no amenity kit in this short flight, but there's a menu. Physical menu is back in Singapore Airline since July 2022, and as usual, feel free to pause the video to take a closer look at the options, otherwise, kindly just skip ahead. I ordered the locals' favorite, nasi lemak, for my lunch. If you don't know what that is, it's one of the most popular local dish in Singapore and Malaysia, a mix of coconut rice with eggs, fried chicken, chili sauce, and a few other ingredients. You have to give this a try if you ever had a chance. I promise, it tastes much better than it looks. There's also the salmon salad as starter and a chocolate cake as dessert. Standard stuff, but really decent. The meal is seriously as good as one can get for a 2 hours business class flight. Speaking of 2 hours, even though this is a short flight, there's always some time to take a nap, as service is really fast in this flight, so let's change the seat into the bed mode. Well, of course, there's no duvet or turn down service in this short flight, but that's understandable. So, how does it look? Not too bad for a 2.5 hours flight, eh? Since this is a bulkhead seat, there is a little extra space for your legs in all 3 dimensions, the depth, the width, and the height to be specific. This video is slowly turning into a physics class. Now make sure you remember this bulkhead seat. It doesn't look the same in the A350s. I'll show you in the next video. As we are approaching Singapore Changi Airport, let me give you my fair review of this flight. As you can already tell, I'm fully satisfied with this flight. As you can expect from SQ, service is consistently great no matter which route you fly in the network. The food was great, but I'm aware that if the flight departs from a city far from Singapore, the food from the catering service from many of those foreign cities may not be up to SQ standard. Hence, you sometimes hear people complaining that SQ's food was bad when flying into Singapore, but rarely is the case when flying out of Singapore, so just keep that in mind. I also wouldn't mind SQ having its own lounge or a shared Star Alliance lounge in Bali's Denpasar airport. It's a hella popular destination, they might as well invest in having a lounge there. One last look at this 787-10 business class cabin. We will return to a very similar cabin in the A350s in the next video with some subtle differences, so make sure to watch out for the next video. As to how I got this flight for only $20, well, I used only 21,500 KrisFlyer miles to redeem this flight along with the next flight to the Philippines, plus $20 for some miscellaneous service charge. What a deal! And that's the power of points and its effective application. Well, I hope you find this video useful and entertaining. More content related to Singapore Airline is coming up, and I'll see you in the next video.